what we do here is go back.
You got her. She's all yours. Oh, my. Oh, no. Ma'am? Good fish. Good fish. Fun fish. Oh, son.
That's a big one right there, baby.
What? Fishing on fork, man. Don't get no better.
Well, that's a good little male. That's what you find.
There it is. She's pretty. Look at the color on her. She's a pretty fish.
Here's a little Lake Fork bass. Come to Lake Fork, catch fish like that.
Oh, chunky 5-pounder right there. That's pretty good. All right, well here we are back on Your Lake Fork Guide Guides Network edition today. Mr. Zach Hughes, what's up, buddy? How you been?
I've been good, man. It's been a good day.
Could
have been a really good day.
It was. We're catching these fish on beds, looking at them. And I'm telling you guys, when it comes to that, there's nobody better in East Texas than this man right here. He's an absolute expert at sight fishing.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. How'd you get, like, what? I know you like to do it. I know it's something you really love to do. Talk to us a little bit about sight fishing.
Well, sight fishing, I started sight fishing in tournaments. You know, I felt like if I could go out and get 5 of the right bites, even if I got 5 bites, I could beat a guy that caught 30 or 40 fish. And, you know, if I could have 3 or 4 days to find, you know, a 25-pound bag, or on fork, when I was fishing tournaments out here, a 10, 11, 12-pound bag.
Of unders, right.
You
Maybe
know,
find one over that you're sure is an over, yeah.
It was going to be hard for them to beat me. And,
absolutely. You get to kind of pick and choose which ones you're targeting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we used to do it where we would, you know, we'd find a fish in Long Branch, then run down to Little Caney, then run to Burt's and back to Long Branch. I mean, but that's just what we did.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And if I could see them before, you know, tournament day, I knew my route, and I wasn't the guy out there catching 30 fish, but all of them be 1 pound. Now, tournament fishing is a numbers game, don't get me wrong. This time of year, though, I would rather get 6 key bites versus 30 bites and
be more selective
and put a sack together, kind of like we did today. You know,
absolutely.
we caught some really good fish, jumped a giant off.
God, that was big, yeah.
I had been watching, and she finally got locked on today, and we blew it. But hey, you know, we came out here and caught a 20-pound bag in 3 or 4 hours, and that's what Lake Fork's about, you know.
That's it. Yeah, this time of year we really get to see. Yeah, sometimes this lake fishing's tough. All the forward strain, all the pressure. There's a lot of times when, man, sometimes you feel like you're fishing a lake that doesn't have a lot of fish in it. But boy, when they come up on these beds and you see the quality of fish that are in this lake and how many of them there are, I mean, we've been in a tiny area. We're in less than a couple acres of water.
Tiny area,
less than a couple acres,
traffic.
and just boats all around us, and still in just a few hours put together a really good bag. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk to you guys about how to catch them off a bed. What do we use? You guys saw the last video. I kind of talked to you about where to look for them, what type of areas, and how to find them. So in this video, we're going to follow it up and give you the techniques, the gear, the tactics, and how do we get those fish once we find them. How do we get them in the boat? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Zach, let's start with you. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the baits. Let's talk about the actual plastic baits that we're using. What do you like to go with?
I like a creature bait. Something compact that, you know, if the fish does bite it, the hook's going to cover the bait. I see a lot of people come out here throwing a jig and stuff, and a jig is going to catch them. But I see a lot of people swing and miss with a jig. I'm a big believer in that it's not necessarily what bait you're throwing, it's how that fish is positioned, what her attitude is, you know, if you can stay back off of her. I know I've said it before today, but we watched 15 boats go down a stretch of bank, all of them looking, and then we went right in behind them and found fish that were a little bit deeper, had a little better attitude as far as not being caught before. And that's the key. I'm not a big stickler on baits. I use kind of the same baits all the time, but it's not necessarily the bait. I tell people all the time, back in a pond a long time ago, a guy bet me $100 I couldn't catch a fish on a Cheeto on a bed. And I hooked a Cheeto on a bed on a Texas rig and threw in there and caught the fish. So that just goes to show you it's
100% agreement.
It's not necessarily what bait you're throwing. I tell guys all the time, throw what you're confident in. If you're confident in a Zoom, a Lake Fork tackle, Grande Bass, Mr. Twister, man, throw what you're confident in, but just watch that fish's attitude. Go down the bank and you find a fish that doesn't spook off or doesn't run off real fast, there's a 99% chance you're gonna catch that fish. You just gotta get set up on her right, find out what she likes. Does she like it hopping? Does she like it still? Does she like it hitting her in the side? You know, you
really got to read them and pay attention because they're all different.
This is a big key, and I'll tell you, if you're not doing this, I see a lot of people don't, but how I rig mine up, this is a Mr. Twister Buzz Bug and Okeechobee Crawl, Texas rig. If I'm fishing thick cover, I'll peg it. This one is not pegged, and the only reason it's not because I want that bead doing this. When that bait is on that bed and you're twitching it with your rod, that bead is constantly making noise, and it's attracting that fish. You may have a spooky fish that gets out there and sets, you know, 2 or 3 feet off the bed because she's been caught. It's colder, you know, but then when she hears that clacking, it kind of gets her attention. So that's a little trick that I use on my baits just to get them honed in to where the bait is. I see a lot of guys throwing white. Billy likes to throw white.
I like to throw white, yeah.
I throw more natural colors just because I feel that fish see white more than they do a natural color. That's just my confidence in it, but I throw either Okeechobee Crawl like that color, or this Red River Special. It's kind of like a blue fleck. But again, I don't want people to key on necessarily the baits that we're throwing because that really don't have anything to do with
because like
it.
you said, you throw the Mr. Twister crawl bait there, the buzz crawl, and I'm throwing something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both catching fish pretty efficiently.
Both caught fish.
Both catch them efficiently. So, you know, this is what I have confidence in. I like that tail making all the action it has. You like that bead clacking. I think we both agree on the red. You got the red bead. I think the red up at the head of the bait is something they key on. I will often use a red weight. I don't use the noise that you do, but after watching today, that's something that I might rethink. I might rethink my philosophy on that.
It just, these fish get pounded and pounded.
They do.
I mean, I can't stress enough that the fish on Lake Fork, it's awesome that people are coming to the lake and bringing business to the bait, but they just see so many baits, and especially when the water clears off. We got lucky today. We had a little rain last night. It stayed stained most of the morning, and then when I picked Billy up, you know, it kind of cleared off. The wind was a bigger factor today, but I don't mind fishing beds in the wind. If you get in a pocket where it's real slick, crystal clear, those fish more than likely are going to be caught. Before you get
on this lake, for sure. It would be very, very unrealistic to think that you could find an unpressured fish on a day like that out here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I tell people all the time, go fish the wind. You know, if you got good glasses, I wear Oakley, Costa, Oakley. I have a deal with Oakley, so I wear Oakley. You wear Costa. Get you a good pair of glasses and look for those fish that other people aren't fishing for, where they're running the bank and seeing those bright orange nests. You know, step back and look at the base of those stumps. And another misconception people think about bed fishing is they burn down the bank looking for a bright orange spot. That 10-pounder that we jumped off, she wasn't on a bright orange spot. She was in some darker grass.
Dark, yeah.
The male was real hard to see. I found her. earlier this week, and you know, she was not on a bright orange spot, but she was keying in on one spot. So that's what I tell people: don't necessarily come down and beat the banks up and look for orange spots, because those are the fish that are going to have 5, 6, 7 holes in their mouth.
This is one tool that I do use, and this is just a 5-inch stick bait. This is the one we've been throwing, the Smash Tech Smash Stick. And I will, if I've got one that I really want to catch and she's really big like you were talking about, if she won't respond to anything before I bail on her, I'll back off a good ways, a good long cast from her, and just soak this bait around that bed. And I'm not actually really sight fishing at that point. I kind of am, because I know where she is and I'm throwing to that spot repeatedly. But that is sometimes that weightless presentation, that more subtle presentation. If it's a fish that means a lot to you in a tournament, it's a personal best potentially, and you really want to take your time and try to catch her, can't get her to respond, that's a good way to try and kind of tease her into biting, right?
Anytime you get a fish that really won't respond. I know we did it Sunday with my guys. We found some fish that were real big. It was cold that morning. The water temperature went from 63 down to 58. They were just acting lethargic, and I kind of pulled out in the middle of the pocket we were fishing, and we just started blind casting to the beds, and we caught a couple fish doing that. And that just goes to show you back off of them a little bit.
Sometimes just letting them get a little more comfortable.
No, they know you're there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got some footage earlier that 10-pounder, she was hard for us to see, but we knew where she was. And I'm a big believer in, if they can't see you, you know, that's always good. If you can see them clear as day, they can see you clear as day. But if you kind of having trouble seeing them, you get a flash here, flash there, that's a little more difficult for them to see you. So that's another key, is don't get right up on top of the fish. They know you're there.
Yeah, they feel that presence. I mean, there's no way they can miss. You know, we're all out here in these big boats, but yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. What about on the rod, reel, and line? What kind of line are you using? What kind of rod are you using? Talk to us about that.
This rod right here that I caught most of the fish on today is a Dobbins series rod, medium heavy, 7'3". I think it's a 733, rigged with a Shimano reel, 15-pound fluorocarbon. This is a Sunline Sniper, Seeger, Sunline Sniper, any of those higher brand fluorocarbon.
15-pound fluorals you go to though.
Out here, now if I'm fishing, say a tournament on Rayburn or Toledo or something like that, and I get in the buck brush, I will throw braid. Out here, you don't really need it. You know, we break fish off every day, but that's the name of the game on Fork, and that's why we keep coming back.
Well, and these fish get so pressured, I think that whether they see the braid or not, they can dang sure hear it.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm real similar. I've got a 7.2 medium heavy. These rods are actually brand new. This is a brand new rod company that I just started working with. I just started fishing these rods this week, called Limit Rods. I don't have the full review on them yet, and you guys know whether I'm on pro staff or not. I'm going to give you honest feedback, so I'm going to fish with these a little bit longer before I give you the full review on them. But right now, I like them so far. I like them a lot so far. And this is a 7.2 medium heavy. I go heavier on line. I like to go 20 fluoro is
That's smart.
kind of my deal. And I've been using the Lake Fork tackle. They've got that fluoro hybrid line, and it's just, you know, I kind of just recently picked it up and started using it, but it just, you know, a couple times when I got hung up, I had to break off. It was just so strong. And you know, when you're sight fishing, sensitivity is not an issue, because you can see them bite it. And I want, you know, some really tough line. I want it to be, you know, good and visible, you know, low vis line, but I really want some super strong line for these really big fish in this situation. So I like to go, I'm using it's actually a 22-pound fluoro hybrid from Lake Fork Tackle. So a little bit beefier line, but I mean,
It gets them.
that 10-pounder didn't break your 15, did she? She got off the hook, but that had nothing to do with the line. You had plenty of line to get her in. So
yeah, another key is, if you do use a braid, I should step back and say, if you do use a bead in front of your fluorocarbon, make sure you check your line. A lot of times when you catch a fish, that bead will actually chafe your line, and then you'll go catch another fish, or you work so hard to catch another fish, and then you snap it on the hook. And we did that today.
we saw that happen today.
I flipped it in there, and a big female ate it, second or third flip, and I set the hook, and there was nothing there. It came back because I didn't change, cut my line.
Didn't retie after that bead. You know, you put that pressure on that bead. You know,
And flip after flip, that bead's sliding up, sliding up, sliding up. It's chafing your line. So a big key to that is, when you get in a spot and you're around some bedfish, it doesn't take 2 seconds to clip that hook off, retie it, and I promise you it'll save you on hook sets because you got usually 5 to 10 foot of line out, and you're jacking them pretty hard.
Putting a lot of pressure. Your line goes in a lot of stress in this situation. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's another thing with the rod. Don't use a stiff rod on bed fishing. I mean, a lot of people I see come out here with 7'5" meat sticks and they're just jamming them, and I'm like, man, you must be using braid, because if you're not, that big rod is going to, bust that line. If you got something with a little tip in it, use that, because it's gonna give that line a little shock. Fluorocarbon doesn't have very much shock, so when you're using that kind of line, make sure you got a rod with a little bit of tip though, and enough backbone to get them out around these stones.
Absolutely. Yeah, it goes through so much pressure in this stuff. So that's kind of it on the gear. Really, I think that covers our gear. We've talked a lot about reading the attitudes and whatnot. Let's get up now and show them kind of how you work the bait through a bed. We're going to play pretend like there's a bed here, even though there's not. Sure. Show them how we work it.
When I pull up to a bed, let's say there's a bed right here. What I do is obviously wait till the fish comes back and gets set up. That's going to let you know she's coming back. She's ready for you to bite. The biggest thing is you go over the top of them, you see them spook off. If they don't spook off, they're 100% catchable. But let's say a fish comes here, spooks off, we wheel around, drop the poles, we get set up on her, she comes back in. What I'll do is I see people flip like this. It really doesn't matter how you get the bait to the target. What I do is I flip over the bed. You want to flip over the bed 2 or 3 feet.
Go past
at least.
Yeah.
Go past the bed. What I try to do is bring the bait into the fish, and if a fish did have an ear, I would try to not work that bait into the ear. That does one thing. It'll make the fish mad, but it'll also get that fish spinning around on it. You may have heard us say today, oh, she's Rick James in it, or she's spinning on it. That's because I can see that fish when I'm working that bait into her. She's getting anxious enough to where she's actually rolling over on it. It'll show, number one, that she's catchable. She doesn't blast off the bed. Another thing is, if you hit a bass on a bed, I don't like to pop them. Some guys like to pop them. I'll work that bait into the side of her face, and she'll spin around. Once she spins around and she's nose down on it, or she's very interested, I just shake the rod like this. I tell people all the time when I'm guiding them and stuff, you'll see them do this, work it like a Texas rig. You don't realize with these reels and rods we got nowadays how much you're moving a bait when you're cranking on a reel handle, or even moving the rod. So the best thing I could tell you is to kind of shake it on a slack line. You see my line's got a bow in it. What I'll do is I'll sit here and shake that line just like that. And what that's allowing that bead to do is click, 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 click. And if you got a fish that's really interested in that bait, you'll feel her hit it. But another thing is you're not pulling that bait off the bed. Guys all the time that are in the boat with me, they want to work the bait too fast. They'll pitch it in there and then they'll just start working it like a Texas rig, and you can see how much line I'm moving by just doing that. So the biggest thing is pitch the bait over the bed, bring it back to you, bring it back to the bed pretty quick to where you want it positioned on that fish, and then once you get it there, just let that bow be in that line and rattle that bead like that. You'll feel them. They'll knock slack in it. But another thing is you be able to keep that bait in that position for a minute if you have to. If she spins around and goes off the bed, circles back in, your bait's still in there. You're not having to bomb in flips on top of her. So what I do, flip it across her, bring it up to her face or her side, and then just shake it on a slack line. If she's not very active, there's different things you can do. Billy did this on one fish today. She wasn't really active, so we flipped to her, pull it up to her, and then you'll see it hop. You can hop the bait up, and what that's doing is letting those claws or those pinchers on that bait just pulsate a little bit. That sometimes triggers a bite, but there's so many different ways to catch them. You just got to figure out what that fish wants. Some fish like it sitting there. Some fish like it flared up in front of their face. Some fish just like it shaking. Every fish is different. They're not all going to be the same. So once you get the hang of it and start playing with them, start reading their attitude, you can decide, what's going to work best on that fish. That big fish that we had today, she liked it flared up in her face, but it's just whatever you like. The biggest thing is to try to keep that bait on the bed as long as you can. You don't want to keep flipping, because that fish is just seeing that bait come right across this bed, out of there. That's what they want to do. They're not trying to eat your bait, they're trying to pick it up and move. So if you can keep that bait on that nest and it pulsating or that bead clacking, you know, you're going to get more bites, but it's going to drive that fish crazy. She's going to want to pick that bait up and move it off the bed.
What you'll see here from me, after just hearing what Zach said, and I defer to Zach. Believe him more than you believe me. He's done a lot more bed fishing than I have. He's got a lot more time doing it, and I'll defer. He's better than I am at it. But I do a couple things a little different. For me, you know, we're talking about reading the behavior, same thing. Read the behavior, tell what they want. A couple things that I'll do when I first start out. The first thing I want to do is throw the bait past the bed, just like Zach said. So I'll pitch it out there, get it on the back side of the bed by a few feet. What I want to do is drag that bait up to what I think is the back edge of the bed, and then just slowly work it through there. And I'm going to watch that fish the entire time. So I'm working my bait, just very slowly dragging it through there, hopping it through there. I'll stop it once I get it in the bed. I'll stop it every so often. I want to try and find a spot that fish will respond to. I want to find the spot in that bed that fish, if he's swimming around out here outside the bed, I want to find where I put that bait that makes him stop swimming and look at the bed. That's very important for me. Once I've found that key spot, I will throw that bait in there, put it on that spot, and let it sit until that fish comes in and looks at it. Sometimes they won't, and that's probably, you know, one of the ways where Zach maybe is a little better than me. He can get them to come in a little better than I can, because I like to throw it in there and just let it sit on that spot. Once that fish is getting in there and he's locked in and he's really staring at the bait, I then get very, very, very aggressive. I will literally point my rod down and snap it and hit him as hard as I can in the same place Zach's talking about. You want to hit him right between the eye and the gill is where you want to hit him. But I will get very aggressive with the way that I pop a fish. You know, I'll have it in there and I'll ease it up to that spot, and I'll try to get it, you know, at an angle where I can hit that fish right there in the side of the head. And once I got him lined up, I'll pop it. It's just my style. It's how I started doing it. I'm a lot more aggressive about it than what Zach was doing today. But hey, Zach caught some really big fish today. He's proven over the years to be one of the best sight fishermen we got. So I can honestly tell you, that's what I have done, and I will continue to put that in practice where I see that it works. But I promise you, there will be a lot of bed fish that I normally would give up on, that I will now try some of the stuff that I learned from Zach today. So that's it. Everybody has their own ways. And anything in fishing, guys, the most important thing, confidence. Do what you're confident in, what makes you feel the most comfortable, the way you feel you have the best chance to get bit. That's the most important thing. It may be a bait, it may be a retrieve. Either way, stick with what you're confident in. The other thing that I'll say, and we talked about it today, finding those deeper fish, there is no substitute and no shortcut to putting in the time of studying the bottom of the lake and looking for these fish, finding the little nuances where they like to bed, finding the little nuances of seeing the movement that other guys pass right over and never even see that fish. When you can see that fish that nobody else saw, they're a lot easier to catch. So that's about it for my retrieves. You know, it's pretty simple. I'm typically pretty aggressive. I promise you I'm going to be trying some new things that I learned today, so I'm glad I got to do this with Zach. Well, guys, that's it. That wraps it up. That's a pretty in-depth tutorial on sight fishing, don't you think?
That's a guide's. That's a $400 a day worth of guide fishing in about 3 hours. But man, I hope you guys come to Lake Fork. Hopefully you come get in some of this action.
Yeah, whether you hire us or not, we're both of the same mindset. We want to help as many people catch fish as we can. That's why I wanted to bring Zach on here, because he thinks about it the same way I do. We love this game. It's done a lot for us in our lives. And if we can give some of the joy and pleasure and just almost spiritual experience that we have out here on the water all the time, if we can share that with somebody else and help them get it, man, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. Bring a kid to Lake Fork. They just got up on the beds. Yeah. You know, we've been catching since about end of February, but man, there's some really big fish, as you saw on, and it's just getting started. The next month or two, you know, is going to be lights out.
It's good now. It's about to get great.
It's really, really good now. Once that water stabilizes a little bit more, it's going to be awesome. There'll be some really big fish caught today. We caught some good fish today. We lost a really, really good fish. But you know, that happens. Maybe a kid will come in here tomorrow and catch it, and it'll be the biggest fish that they've ever caught, and get a replica done and can tell a story about when they come to Lake Fork and catch a fish off a bed like that. So that's what it's all about, man. I appreciate you having me, and
absolutely.
If you ever need anything, just holler at me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, man. I learned a lot today too, so I appreciate it.
I hope you did, Bubba.
All right, man. So that was it. So if you guys like that video, hit that thumbs up for us. You want to see some more like this, we got some other guides on the channel. Be sure and check out the Guides Network playlist. Subscribe to that channel. It'll give you a notification every time we do a new video. Make sure you guys don't miss anything that we do. Got a lot of big things going on here on Your Lake Fork Guide. We're going to continue to bring you the most in-depth and honest content that ever has been in the world of fishing. So I hope y'all enjoy it. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
You got it.